Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov chess channel and welcome back to the Chennai Masters in 2024. So crazy things happened in the last couple of rounds of this event. First of all, let's mention again, let's repeat, Aravindh Chithambaram in the round 6 won his game against big Arjun Erigaisi, and this game I think spiced up the event till the end, because in the beginning it seemed so that Arjun Erigaisi would just run through the event by not losing any games, but with this win Aravindh Chithambaram spiced up really the tournament, and we had a crazy situation. After 7 rounds in the classical time format event, we had 3 players with the same point count. Arjun Erigaisi, Aravindh Chithambaram and Levon Aronian, all of them finished with 4.5 points. But the huge and important thing here to say was that actually Aravindh Chithambaram finished on the first place because of some additional criteria. Still, the players had to play additional tiebreak games, but Aravindh Chithambaram didn't have to play immediately tiebreak games. We had sort of a semi-final situation where Aravindh is already in the finals and he's waiting the winner between Arjun Erigaisi and Levon Aronian. And Levon Aronian won the tiebreak game, the Armageddon game, against Arjun Erigaisi, and then faced Aravindh Chithambaram, who of course qualified because he finished on the first place. And then in the grand final, Aravindh Chithambaram won both of his games against Levon Aronian in the Blitz section and is now the deserved winner of the Chennai Masters in 2024. So congratulations to Aravindh, huge result for him. I'm a little bit sad that I haven't covered so many great games by Aravindh so far, because usually we have mentioned Arjun Erigaisi, Gukesh, Praggnanandhaa from India, but now I think in the next couple of months I'll cover more and more beautiful games by Aravindh, because he seems to me really like a strong player. He has great style in chess. He's spicing up his openings by playing maybe irregular, not so often played openings, which is really crazy. So interesting player for sure. And as I said, I'm really glad that he won now this beautiful Chennai Masters in 2024. So I've sorted out now an amazing game again by Aravindh Chithambaram, where he played in the last round of the classical format section with the black pieces here against big Parham Maghsoodloo. I'm saying big Parham Maghsoodloo because Parham Maghsoodloo is a great player. He's really a player that I think many top GMs are trying to avoid in the event. He's playing sharp, tactical, aggressive, brutal chess. Really great player. So let's see now what happened in this game between Parham Maghsoodloo against Aravindh Chithambaram, the winner of the Chennai Masters in 2024. So with the white pieces, Parham opened with the move c4, the English opening. We have now e6 by Aravindh, this Agincourt defense, knight to c3, d5, and we have now the transposition into the Queen's Gambit decline, the Queen's Knight variation. We have now h6, interesting sideline here by Aravindh, not allowing after something like knight to f6 this knight to be pinned, maybe with the normal idea of the Queen's Gambit decline by the move bishop to g5, c takes d5 here by Parham, releasing the pressure in the center, e takes d5, and now bishop to f4, c6 prevents in some lines, knight to b5, e3, bishop to f5. Now Aravindh is also playing his in sort of a Londonish system style, like Parham did here, bringing the bishop out on f4 and f5, and then locking here the center and keeping, of course, this bishop, also this light square bishop, very active. So both players have so far a great activity with their minor pieces. Knight from g to e2 by Parham, going for the bishop. We have bishop to h7, which becomes now a theoretical novelty already in move 7. And Parham plays already a very aggressive line with the move h4. That's what I mean. H4 is sort of a move that immediately creates some madness all over the board. Really interesting sideline here by Parham. He's not waiting any moments here. He's trying, of course, to do something, maybe even g4, h5, g5, whatever the position is allowing. Here, moves like queen to b3, I wanted to point you out. Queen to b3 will be a certain motif that could happen in the later stage of the game. Queen to b3 now immediately doesn't make sense here for white, if you're maybe asking yourself the question, because queen to b6 solves any problems in black's camp, and then you can just maybe trade off the queens. But with the beautiful bishop's activity, with this bishop that could come into the game, with the natural moves like knight to f6, knight to d7 here by black, I think black has solved again any problems in the position for sure. I'm telling you about this move queen to b3 because in some other lines it could be maybe possible. So here h4, as we said, by Parham immediately. Aravindh continues with normal development. We have now knight to g3 here, and now knight to d7. Great choice here by Aravindh, because he didn't take here the pawn on h4 immediately, because now as we mentioned, this queen to b3 motif is always there, and now the queen would be actually overloaded to the defense of the b7 pawn, but also here because of the defense of the bishop on h4. Now in a potential continuation, knight to h5 could happen, and the issue is now after bishop to f6, maybe rook to c1, knight to d7, and queen to b3. Now queen to b6 is not working anymore. Look at this, how aggressive this line can be. Parham prepared here really dirty, I would say even an opening trap here against Aravindh, because if you play now queen to b6, the move that we have discussed earlier would solve then the problems. Actually, this is not working because of knight to b5. Now when there's a beautiful activity here, look at this crazy line it would have been for sure. King to f8, bishop to c7, you attack the queen, knight to f4, look at this, knight to d5. Although down a piece, but look at this, the activity of white's pieces is devastating here for black. The king is stuck here on f8, so I wanted to show you that these lines are well prepared here by both of them, by Parham but also by Aravindh, because he's not rushing into any of this line. So bishop to h4 would be actually here already a huge mistake here by black. Aravindh doesn't rush here, he plays normal development, knight to d7, bishop to d3, bishop to h4 now is working, because after bishop to h7, rook to bishop to g3 here was played by Aravindh. We have bishop to g3 and now rook to h7. And okay, let's stop and evaluate the position. Parham Maghsoodloo gave here up a pawn in this tactical sequence, but he has secured a position where it's very hard now for Aravindh to go somewhere with the king. Of course, kingside castling is not possible anymore because you moved already the rook. Queenside castling, I think, would be a suicide, because this bishop is so dangerous. It's crossing this diagonal and you'll never be able to secure a king further on b8. Then in some lines, rook to c1, knight to b5 are working. You're getting destroyed if you somehow even manage to castle on the queen side. So basically, Parham Maghsoodloo with his sacrifice, with his pawn sacrifice, secured a crazy position where black's king is stuck in the center of the board. I think it's a good compensation for the lost pawn. The engine likes this line, so from this point on, really complicated now game to play for Aravindh. So we have now a queen to c2, and here Parham, I think, misses the point of his attack. Here he should have immediately played, I think, e4. e4 immediately breaks and opens the position. Then after something like d takes e4, knight to e4, look at this d6 is weak. You can castle and maybe getting the rook on the e file. This would be then really the point of this attack by Parham Maghsoodloo. But he played now queen to c2, which of course makes perfect sense. You're attacking the rook, but this rook can be defended, and now the e4 is a little bit blocked here. We can move the king now to f8, and then the rook on h7 is of course protected. Now I think the game is about equalish again, and with maybe still slightly better chances for white because of the endangered king position on e8. But okay, here queenside castling by Parham. We have king to f8, f3. He's preparing e4, but he could have played e4 earlier. So really maybe unnecessary move order here by Parham Maghsoodloo. But still, nothing wrong so far. Both players have now good chances in the game. King to g8 and now king to b1. This move I really like by Parham. First of all, bringing the king on a more secure place, and then maybe launching this e4 attack. We have now h5, bishop to h4, queen to e8, hitting now this pawn on e3. And here Parham Maghsoodloo, I think first, he plays his first tiny little inaccuracy in the game. He plays now the move bishop to g5. He's protecting his pawn unnecessarily now, because a better choice here is to just go with queen to b3. You go also for this pawn. Rook to b8 is not possible because of bishop to g3. As we mentioned, this bishop is too powerful all over the board. Then after something like queen to e3, you can pick up this one, and if you retreat again because the rook is hanging, then we can pick up also this pawn, and actually white in this tactical sequence would win a pawn. Or maybe if you try something like knight to b6 to cover the b file, then we can play bishop to f6, g takes f6, and now you can go again for the e4 plan. Again, I think white should be slightly better. So if you maybe try b6 here, then knight to e2 with the preparations to play rook to e1, and then maybe knight to f4, maybe then afterwards even e4. Again, I'm not saying black is lost or something, but this was the way to go here for white to play counterattack with queen to b3. But Parham played a tiny little passive move. He's trying to protect now his pawn. We have now queen to e6 and now knight to e2, going for this plan with knight to f4. We have now rook to e8. We have now rook from h to e1. And now knight to f8 here by Aravindh Chithambaram. We have now knight to f4, rook to d6, and now again here Parham misses, I think, this opportunity with e4. I think he has to play now this line. He has to be more aggressive in the center of the board. He is dominating now with the minor pieces. The rooks are on good files. After the move e4, I think the position would be about equal. But what Parham played, he played here rook to h1. He hoped maybe to play something like, I don't know, bishop to f6, and then I don't know, to get somehow this pawn on h5. But here Aravindh gets out of this attack, allows here Parham to play knight to h5, but now queen to g6, and this is the move I think that Parham Maghsoodloo missed. Still the position is about equal, maybe slightly better now for black, because Parham rushed for this pawn. Here Aravindh found a beautiful way how to defend here after queen to g6. Now the point is that you don't pick up this queen with the knight, you pick it up with the pawn, and now Parham Maghsoodloo has to lose another tempo. Here after a couple of trades of rooks, we have now an attack against the bishop. Look at this, all of these moves are forced now by Aravindh, and now after bishop to d6, now the pawn on e3 is hanging. So really beautiful tactical sequence that Aravindh here noticed, and he's now having, I think, a better activity. The knights will eventually come into the game. He's controlling now the only file here, the e file. Okay, maybe this is also an open file, but the king is controlling any activity of the rook. So let's see really this beautiful tactical sequence again. Here first of all knight to d7, allowing queen to g6, hitting now both of these pieces, and now f takes g6 now leads into this sequence where, look at this, everything is forced, bishop to d6, and now the pawn on e3 is lost. So really amazing stuff here by Aravindh Chithambaram. So knight to f5, Parham attacks now the rook drops back. We have now knight to e7, king to f7, and now knight to f5 has to be played again here by Parham Maghsoodloo, because you cannot pick up the piece here. You get first of all the attack against the rook, and now you pick up this one, and the knight is again a little bit loose on the board. With an extra pawn, black should be obviously much better in this potential endgame. So king to f7, we have now knight to f5, knight to f8, bishop drops back, and as I mentioned here, black should be better in this position because of the open e file and the possibility of the activity of the knights all over the board. So we have now b6 with the preparation to play the move c5, g4, a5, hitting now this bishop drops back, g6. Look at this, although this knight is outposted on f5, it will not stay there forever. It has to drop back now, and here Aravindh Chithambaram goes for the f3 weakness for this backward pawn, which forces again a passive move here by Parham Maghsoodloo. Now Aravindh continues the attacking flow with knight to e6, an attack against the pawn, and also with a positional threat to get maybe the knight on a beautiful square on f4. So it forces again a passive move here by Parham. Look at this, his pieces are now pushed away, towards his side of the board, and here of course king to e7 played by Aravindh, simply improving the position of the king. King to c2, king to d6. Now the king has to play, of course, in an endgame stage. The king has to be really an active piece. King to d3, and now c5. The pawns are rolling, really huge and better position now here for black. What should you do? If you try here bishop to c3, then I think c4 is working. Then you go with b5, b4. You're letting the pawns roll here. The knights are then maybe will be included into the attack, and I think nothing spectacular here for white. Black is, I think, dominating again here in this position. But after c5, Parham Maghsoodloo made a worse continuation. He played d takes c5, b takes c5. He tried to maybe grab this pawn, but now look at this, knight to e5. Again, great calculations here by Aravindh Chithambaram. Again, the king has to drop back, and now knight to g4. Look at this, everything was well calculated. Again, beautiful tactical sequences we have seen here by Aravindh. After knight to g4, bishop to d2. Now again the rooks gets attacked, and now here Aravindh wins another pawn, and this is now obviously completely winning position here for black. King to d1, d4, the pawns are rolling here. Parham is trying to do maybe something with his a pawn, but it's a little bit too slow. G4, look at this, G5. We have now b4, rook to h6, going here first of all with the rook, attack against the knight. Now here Aravindh trades off the bishop here, the knight for a bishop. We have now king to d2, now knight to f4. First of all, the attack, look at this. Every move by Aravindh is always at least a simple threat. We have now rook to g1, again a check. Look at this, all of the squares are taken. You cannot include even the king further into the attack, so that's why you have to use now the back rank, and now there is a threat of rook to a1. So that's why here Aravindh was challenged in this way by Parham with rook to e1. Now rook to a5, look at this, all the pawns are taken. And after a couple of trades of rooks here, also we have reached this position in which Aravindh Chithambaram has now 3 extra pawns. We have now knight to f5, d3, king to d2, king to b4. We have now knight to g3, king to c4, knight to f5, knight to d5, and after knight to g3, king to d4, knight to n5, and king to e5. In this particular position, here Parham Maghsoodloo resigned. So what's the issue? Even if you try here, maybe knight to g3, then king to f4 will happen. And even if you attack the knight here, even if you attack the king here with the knight to h5, you cannot pick up the pawn, because then this is winning. Knight to f4 would lead now into 4 trades of knights, and with these 2 pawns, this completely winning endgame. So fair resign, I would say, also by Parham Maghsoodloo. So great game here by Aravindh Chithambaram. Really beautiful tactical sequences he played. He understood the position, I think, in a great way. Amazing win. This was the win actually from the last round, in which Aravindh Chithambaram secured actually the first place in the classical competition, and he had to face again, as I said, Levon in the grand final, where he won both of his blitz games and is now the deserved winner of this amazing chess tournament. So great games we have seen in this tournament for sure. Aravindh Chithambaram gained also a couple of rating points. I think Arjun Erigaisi is now again below 2800 because of some losses in this tournament. So you see, it's tough to always stay with your ratings. But I think now Aravindh Chithambaram becomes a huge person for us, a person that we'll follow, of course, for sure in the next couple of months in some other tournaments. So okay, if you want to see some other beautiful games that we have covered so far here on my YouTube chess channel, check out our coverage. Here are some links of some beautiful games, and if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.